o'clock on the East Coast. It is 5 o'clock on the West Coast. And for the first time in 3 weeks, I remembered to unmute my microphone before starting to talk during the intro. It is the 20th of June in the year of our Lord 2024, season 14. Oh, getting a weird noise coming off your end, brother.
I was just moving the mic.
There's like a cicada noise when you talk.
That's unfortunate.
Okay, it's better now. 668 times you have been welcomed to the Clubhouse Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, and pro wrestling. Probably should have done that with the other hands. That's why I had a pen in that hand, and that's okay. Welcome to the penultimate episode of season 14, and we'll explain that here in just a little while. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast, and I was going to wear a different shirt today, but I'm going to save that one. That way for me is my co-host, and I can't see his shirt, so I don't know what we're advertising today. He is Alex. Ah, yes. Very nice.
I figured with the greatness that is the Rickwood game now in honor of something we're going to talk about very shortly, I believe.
Yep.
I figured it was more than appropriate to bust out the Jackie Robinson equality shirt from Baseballism.
I was really hoping to have a couple other things done so that I could have that on over here.
Mm-hmm.
I am in the middle of some upgrades. So, but I don't have another rope. Well, I mean, it's upgrades that had to be done. Like
Dude, you've been working. Some of your equipment you have had sitting for so long. Yes, you are more than deserving the upgrade. But that doesn't change the fact that it's a little bit of bragging.
I've got one monitor here that's now upgraded. I'm waiting on the other one. I should get the other one tomorrow because I left it at Dallas Comic Show and still haven't gotten it. So I'm trying to get, Mark and I are trying to get together tomorrow so we can get that done. And so this will be done. And then I just have to get something on this monitor over here that I can have of a Roku type nature. But it is that time of year where me buying things like that for myself is a very, very bad idea. As you may or may not know, my birthday's in about a week and a half. So I try not to buy anything for myself within a month of my birthday or within a month of Christmas that other people possibly could get for me. So
I have a really selfish question in that regard.
Please.
And I find this interesting because I feel like there's two types of people when it comes to things like birthdays. Would you rather just be handed your gift, or do you want to unwrap something?
That's an excellent question. I am a big fan of unwrapping things. I am not a fan of wrapping things. So like I can sympathize with people that are just like, here's the thing. But I'm also a big fan of the reveal too. Oh, Mike, tell me happy 44th, boy. I remember 44. That is long in the rear view, my friend, but I appreciate the compliment. Well,
so, and I was curious about this from a selfish aspect because obviously you're going to be receiving things. And it actually came up in conversation with somebody else today. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to save this. I'm going to ask Rob on air so there's evidence of his response.
Now, my wife, master of all things wrapping gifts. She has, I mean, again, she was an art major in college, so it kind of comes with the territory. But my wife can wrap gifts in her sleep, and they look 30 times better than anything I will ever do. That's why I'll just throw stuff in a gift bag and throw tissue paper in it. Here you go, with a tack. Because I'm terrible at it. My entire life, it just looks like origami gone horribly wrong. That's all it looks like. So, go ahead.
I was curious about it because I feel like there's a clear-cut answer one way or the other because I am terrible at wrapping gifts, which is why I am the king of the gift bag. But at the same time, I don't know if it's me getting older or whatnot. I was thinking about this. I was like, I don't care about it being wrapped. Just hand it to me. Unless you don't want to be present when I see it, don't bother wrapping it. I'm good.
I kind of like the reveal of the whole thing.
Oh, no. I like the surprise. I like the reveal. But afterwards, I'm just looking around at torn paper going, well, this killed a tree.
Well, see, that's me throwing it away as I go. So then I never have that guilt settling. Yeah. I always keep it like, especially Christmas morning, I keep one of the garbage bags right next to me. And I'm just unwrap in the garbage. So
See, for me, it was always my family did it like one at a time at Christmas, so I always felt guilty about trying to tear it apart and making sure it was
so
thrown away.
did we, and we rotated around the room. Jen's family, it's a free for all. Everybody go. And I'm just like, no, I like to watch people open their gifts because number one, I like to watch their reactions to the stuff. I get them. But number two, I like just that moment, watching that moment, whether I gave it to them or not. And
I am so glad you're saying this. I am so glad you're saying this because I feel like you'd have had the same reaction I did the first time I did Christmas with Sean and her family, where I'm like, no, wait, what was? Hold on, wait, what?
It's like that moment at the end of A Christmas Story when the boys are just tearing things up.
Yes.
But see, another tradition that my family had that I don't see a lot because of multiple families involved in things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas Eve, we opened gifts from everybody else, but Christmas morning was reserved for the immediate family.
I like that.
Which I thought that was kind of cool because, you know, you don't want to deny somebody like my cousins or my aunts and uncles the opportunity to see me open their gifts, but the immediate family still gets their own time. And I kind of dug that.
Yeah, and for us, it was you get one gift to open on Christmas Eve, which, contrary to most people's belief, my sister and I would go hunting for like an ornament that wasn't going to matter to us at the time so that we got that out of the way. But every other gift had to wait for Christmas.
There's that cicada noise again.
It might be my AC. I don't know. It's hot. It's Texas.
Yeah, I've had at least 4 conversations this week with people that I work with up in Pittsburgh about how hot they're going through a heat wave and it might hit 95. I'm like, you are adorable.
That's adorable.
Yeah. And then every conversation has turned into can you explain to me how it is in Texas? I'm like, I can try, but will not
take my phone, FaceTime you, and drop an egg on the concrete. Then we'll learn.
It's a whole different kind of hot here. We do want to send our best still. Another tropical storm coming to southeast Texas and some more stuff going on in Florida. So everybody in those areas, please be smart, be safe, and all the good stuff. Mike says theirs was one on the eve that he tried to pick the one that had clothes in it. I want to put a pin in this because in my family, there was a strategy to it, but I want to put a pin in this till closer to the holidays.
Okay, so we need to make a note. We need to have like an alarm set for a December show.
So, like I said earlier, this week is the penultimate episode of season 14. Next week will be the season finale because 2 weeks from today is the 4th of July, Independence Day. We're not going to do a show. The week after that, I will be coming home from Pittsburgh. My flight doesn't get in till after 6 o'clock Central. So there's no way we'd be on air on time. It just wouldn't happen. And then,
and at that point, the whole show would just be like, I don't know. I don't care.
Then July 18th will be the season 15 season premiere, if you can believe that. There it is again. I wonder if
nothing is changing on my side.
I wonder if StreamYard will clean that up in post. I'll have to listen. I've still got last week's to listen to, man. I've gotten bombarded with podcasts. I got a 3-part series from 30 for 30, narrated by David Duchovny, which I was last week old when I learned David Duchovny went to Princeton. The name of that, I got my phone right here. I can tell you. It's about another guy that went to Princeton that played football and hockey at Princeton.
The collision sports. Yeah.
It's called Searching for Hobie Baker.
Oh, Hobie Baker, of course.
It's a 3-parter, and then I've got the follow-up that they're doing with Clipped, and I haven't even started watching that right now yet. I see Russ. Happy birthday to Russ. It's his birthday today. So that's the schedule for the next few weeks. Hopefully we'll have Don is in Montana this week, so hopefully we'll have him back next week for the season finale because we do season finale stuff. Let's get into it. We have an NBA champion. I was this close. I said Celtics in 6. It went 5. I mean, there was just no doubt in my mind the Celtics were going to win this series. They have, with everything they've dealt with and still been dominant this season, the Mavericks did everything they could with a blowout win in Game 4 to avoid the sweep. But sooner or later, it was going to catch up to them. But that's number 18. Celtics now have the record, breaking the tie with the Lakers.
And Magic Johnson is not happy. But
you are very tinny, and I don't know why, because I've got the low end turned up for you.
Well, but any which way, the thing with the Celtics is they have always been the more complete team, and whatever they're paying Brad Stevens isn't enough because the dude just knows how to make the right decision with every bit of personnel, whether he's on the bench or in the boardroom. Dude does nothing but succeed, and all he needs you to see is go back to Butler, and we knew it then.
You know what I think's going on? Check your mic settings. I think the mic from your laptop is the one that's defaulting right now.
I actually checked that at the beginning, and let me double down.
Because it's definitely very tinny, which is not like your audio when it normally comes through. Adjusting on the fly is what we do on this show. Also, finally finding out today, the Lakers, speaking of them, have a new head coach after Danny Hurley says, yeah, no, I'm staying at UConn. So JJ Redick, who was the original rumor that we heard, is now the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Russ, I'm going to see you that weekend. Looking forward to that. So they have also said they're going to surround him with some very strong coaches, which is the smart move. Mm-hmm. But Laker fans, just have a little bit of patience. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Hey, I'm not. If I don't ask,
Lakers and patience. That's
actually
adorable.
Your audio is 20 times better now. So you're good.
All it took was Lakers fans have patience.
Yeah. Let me lay my hands upon the screen. NHL news. We have Game 6 tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. I'm not feeling confident, but I did say Panthers in 6.
We agreed on that.
I don't want to win this on the road, but I do not want a Game 7. Edmonton is doing Edmonton things, as I have said this entire Stanley Cup playoffs. Fear is settling in a little bit. I don't watch the games because I'm trying to keep my blood pressure at normal levels, but I do get notifications every time there's a score. Game 4 was a little rough on me. When you drop 8-1. But let's win this thing tomorrow night and be done.
6-1, didn't I?
Yeah, let's win this thing tomorrow night and be done. I mean, they gave a valiant effort in Game 5.
Oh, absolutely.
When Edmonton jumped up quick, I was like, oh, good Lord, here we go.
I think the Cats just got caught off guard in Game 5, so we'll see where it is. But like we had said and reiterated time and time again, Connor McDavid is the best and second best player on the planet. It does not matter. And there's a reason this team is there, because they have a number of good players. Again, the Cats are more complete, similar to the Celtics. But you know what? We invoked the name of Jean-Sebastien Giguère on the last episode I was on, and all it takes is a hot goalie, and Skinner was playing really well.
Well, and here's the other thing. McDavid, if this goes 7, he has the chance to have the most playoff points in NHL history.
I don't want to jinx it, but McDavid could do it by next game.
But they're saying if it goes 7, because he's only behind Lemieux and Gretzky, which is just like,
yeah,
you know.
Well, you saw the factoid after the other game, right? Or the last.
Depends on which one you're talking about.
The most points in a single game, tying Gretzky's record.
Yeah, they did talk about that on PTI today.
With 4.
Alex mentioned a game that is going on right now. We would not go into Major League Baseball without the talk of the passing of the great Willie Mays, with the game tonight saluting the Negro Leagues in Alabama. one of my favorite things to hear people talk about this week was the relationship that he had with Vin Scully, and seeing some of the footage of just the pure joy of Vin Scully's face every time he would talk to Willie Mays.
But I love how he never stopped short of his Dodgers love with, you were the best player I ever saw. You were my favorite player I ever saw, even if you were wearing the worst jersey possible. And I mentioned it online talking with a friend of the show, Rachel Wimberly. There was something very cathartic and putting me at ease, just having always been around the game thanks to my family and things. But being in the stands, in left field, watching the Mets, which was Willie Mays' last position and last team, kind of when the news broke, was kind of calming, I guess might be the best way to put it. And regardless of how you feel about Barry Bonds, Willie always made sure to take care of his own, or his family, his friends, and anybody around him. If anybody had something bad to say about Willie, they were lying.
You're not wrong at all.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of defaulting to you on this, because of your connection to the sport. I mean, I saw that and my heart kind of sunk in my chest.
Well, and it was nice seeing the Baseball Tonight guys at Rickwood, and I found it very interesting that Derek Jeter brought up a question Barry Bonds was on, because it is now also in honor of Willie Mays having passed. But asking to try and pivot to something with more of the funny was Jeter asking Barry Bonds, like, there were so many great players that didn't necessarily get a full career. What would have happened if you Barry Bonds, went up against peak Satchel Paige? And Barry's response was just, gone. I'm hitting it out. Gone. And he's like, what do you mean? How could you say that about arguably the greatest pitcher ever based on longevity in the modern era? And Barry Bonds was just like, if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you? And I was like, you know what? He was the greatest hitter before the issues and allegations. So, because you go back to those Pirate years, he was still a great hitter.
The one reason I miss Derek Jeter in the sport is because every time Tony Kornheiser would refer to him, he would say, number 2, Derek Jeter. Jeter, number 2. And that just brings me joy. So let's get into your Major League Baseball standings in the American League East. I love when we talk about the AL East, because this division melts my brain. Toronto remains in last place by a half a game. They are 4 games below 500. They're 14 and a half back in the division. And they're a half game back on Tampa Bay right now. Those two, well, Tampa Bay is 4 back on Boston. Boston now 9.5 back on Baltimore. Baltimore breathing. By the way, Boston's won 5 in a row.
Yeah, they've been playing good ball.
Baltimore now a half game back on the Yankees. So they're creeping up. They're on a 2-game heater. New York's lost 2 in a row. In the AL Central, the Chicago White Sox, they're still terrible. They are 15 games back on Detroit. Detroit now 6.5 back on Minnesota. The Twins are a half game back on Kansas City, but Cleveland still has a 6-game lead over them. In the AL West, the Oakland A's, or I'm just going to start putting it to the universe, the Las Vegas Diamonds.
I can't hate on it.
They are 16. They're 16 games back in the division. They are 2.5 back of Law.
Pin. I want to put a pin for a second.
Okay.
No, go ahead. I want to follow up after.
Law is 5 back on the Rangers. The Rangers are now a half game back on Houston. The Astros now 8 back on Seattle. In the National League, NL West, the Colorado Rockies, they're pretty bad. Did they get jobbed the other night?
What do you mean?
Did you not see what happened in the game? I believe it was Tuesday night. Bottom of the 9th, or top of the 9th. Whoever they were playing, and I can't remember offhand, 2 outs, 2 strike.
Was this the Dodgers?
Where it was the check swing
The
that was
check
called
swing.
off, and the next pitch,
Yeah.
the next pitch was a home run. Did they get jobbed?
That was Misty's beloved Dodgers. No, he did not break the plane.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's one of those rules, like it's baseball's equivalent of the catch rule. Changes with each umpire, whether it's does it break perpendicular or does it break the plate? And depending on who it is, by whatever their ruling they understand for the swing, it either was or it wasn't. If it breaks the plate, then it would have been a strikeout. However, it stayed parallel to the front of the plate, so it's not breaking the plane. Now, we'd have to actually look up what the rule book says in that scope. But as we saw with Angel Hernandez's entire career, what's in the rule book doesn't matter because these guys do whatever they want.
They are 10 back of San Francisco. The Giants are a half game back on the Padres. Padres a half game back on Arizona, but Arizona's 9 back on the Dodgers. Misty's good.
Yeah, it's about to be a runaway.
In the NL Central, the Reds, they're 4 games below 500 and 9 games back in the division. This is another one. They're a half game back on the
Central is at quality again.
Yeah,
it's not great, but it's quality.
Pittsburgh's now up in the middle of the pack. They're a half game up on the Cubs, and they're a half game back on St. Louis, but St. Louis 7.5 back on Milwaukee. And in the only division that matters, the NL East, the Marlins are still terrible with a .338 win percentage. They're 24 games back in the division. The Mets, who are 8-2 in their last 10.
The Grimace run might have done it.
I was actually just about to say the Grimace run is over after they lost last night. They are 11.5 up on Miami, but they're a half game back on the Nationals. The Nationals now 6 back on Atlanta, and the Braves now 7 back on Philly, but the Braves have won 3 in a row and are 6-4 in their last 10. Nationals have the best last 10 at 7-3.
You want the funniest baseball note for this show of the week?
Please do.
I have not been able to find it. However, I was told that when Fox Sports, with whatever their analysts were covering the baseball game on Tuesday night, some people tried to give your boy some hell after the first Vientos home run because I was facing away from the field. And apparently one of the analysts came in and said, no, that's a man who's played baseball. He turned around to play the carom. And I'm like, I need to know who that is because I need to send them a gift basket. So when Vientos hits the home run, it lands 3 seats behind me. I'm the big blue blob facing away from the field because I tracked the ball waiting for it to hit somebody behind me and come to me. It didn't, but still.
All right. How was your experience at the ballpark there, seeing your beloved Mets?
Oh, so good. So good. And seeing Pete Alonso get a game-winning hit in what is probably the last time I'll get to see him do a game-winning hit in a Mets jersey. Oh, and you know what? The all-you-can-eat seats cannot go wrong.
Was it the same menu that we had when I went?
The hamburger, hot dog, chicken sandwich, nachos, peanuts, popcorn, all available for free.
Yep, that's the ones.
Yeah. And then, you know what? I did have the other question answered for me that I think we ran into a stop when we were talking about it. There are other vendors that had some other things. And if it wasn't for the fact that scoring just did not stop happening in that game, I would have gone up and gotten something. But every time I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll go up. Oh, there's another home run. Okay, maybe I'll go up. Oh, RBI double. It's like I couldn't get away.
All you can eat section, because when you get the nachos, you get the cheese, but then they have another bar where you could get the pico and all the other stuff. Respect to that.
Yeah, no, they take care of the people. It's a little daunting when you first see the line, but it moves well.
Yep, moves very quickly, and they have multiple stations, which is nice too.
Yes.
All right, it's now time
27-33. In case you're wondering.
Yep. It is now time for North America's favorite game show. What is the run differential for the Chicago White Sox? They may go bell to bell.
They probably will.
Is that bad, Alex?
I think this team is intentionally bad. So let's see. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been on the show, or was I on last week?
You were on last week.
Okay, I was on last week. I believe I guessed 145. May I know their last 10?
No, that's not the
Okay.
rule.
So I'm going to have to assume they lost at least in 8 or 9. So I'm going to call it 7, and I'm going to say 153.
The Chicago White Sox are currently 20-56. That is a win
120 is more surprising.
That is a win percentage of 263. In comparison, the Las Vegas Diamonds have 8 more wins than they do. They are currently 28 games back in the division. 13 of those wins have come at home, so 7 wins on the road. 31 losses on the road. They've lost 2 in a row. They are 3-7 in their last 10. So they're this much better than
they were better than what I thought.
In comparison, there are 2 other teams in all of Major League Baseball that have triple digits in their run differential. The Miami Marlins are currently at -115. The Colorado Rockies are at -116. To put this in perspective, in the entire National League, the closest team to them, to those two, is St. Louis at -39. In the American League, they are the only team in triple digits. The closest team to them is the Las Vegas Diamonds at -86. The Chicago White Sox currently, last week you were off by 5. 2 weeks ago, Don hit it on the head.
Oh.
This week, you narrowed that gap a little bit.
Because
the run differential for the Chicago White Sox on June 20th, 2024 is -156. We're not even at the halfway point, kids. We're still 3 weeks away from the All-Star game.
Did you see Cousin Sal's rant about the White Sox, though?
No.
To briefly summarize, it was a tirade about how we as Met fans have nothing. Please, Chicago, start winning games because we need the record for futility, because otherwise we have nothing.
You want to hear the craziest part? Colorado's given up more runs than they have.
Well, that's Colorado, too.
Colorado at -116 has given up 435 runs this year. The White Sox have given up 388.
Hashtag because Colorado. I mean, because Denver, because Mile High, because Coors Field.
It's just every week this baffles me. They're going to go bell to bell. I'm just saying it. They're going post to post.
They're the only team actively trying to lose, and I am convinced of this. 100%.
Okay, you wanted to put
they are actively trying to lose, and they are trying to draft the third baseman out of Georgia, who is just hitting everything out of the park up until the World Series.
You wanted a pin for the Las Vegas Diamonds?
I had a thought, but
Okay.
it also flies in the face of another idea I have.
When has that ever stopped out on this show?
Oh, no. That's why there's going to be 2 points that don't necessarily jibe.
Fair enough.
Now, I like your Las Vegas Diamonds. It makes perfect sense. It's baseball. However, in the scope of trying to be more modern, but not too modern, as sports teams tend to do when naming, what is off the top of your head, how many different slang terms do you know for home run?
Maybe a handful.
Okay. And among those, is the term jack one of them?
It's peripheral. I don't think it's used as often as some of the others that I can think of. It wouldn't have been at the top of my list. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, but if you go with the Las Vegas Jacks and use the Jack of Diamonds as your logo,
I was thinking King of Diamonds, but I can roll with it.
The reason I don't want to do the Kings is because there is already a Kings in the major.
No, I'm just saying stay Diamonds, but have the King of Diamonds or the Ace of Diamonds.
The only reason I would say that you wouldn't use the Ace or the King is because you have the Las Vegas Aces, no pun intended. But number two, if I'm not mistaken, the King of Diamonds is the Suicide King. So you'd probably want to avoid. I believe so.
I don't know.
I'll have to look into that. But the reason I was thinking of the Jacks was because you would have that where it's the younger strapping men who also it's the home runs. You go along with that. However, I did sitting in the outfield, especially in the front row, made the dot race very interesting. So as that has become a staple in almost every major league park now, you'd have the Royal Flush race. So you'd have an ace, a king, a queen, and a jack all racing around the outfield. And I can roll with that.
It's the King of Hearts is the Suicide King.
Thank you very much. I knew it was red. I just wasn't 100%. So King of Diamonds still works.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into TV talk, shall we?
Absolutely.
We are unveiling a new semi-regular, twice-used segment on this show. It's an idea I had the other day. And it's called Stuff We Watched This Week. I'm workshopping the theme. So we're going to do this with TV talk. We're also going to do this with movie talk because this year has been very thin because we are still catching up from the writers and actors strikes. So the stuff we've been able to review is getting a little bit more fewer and far between. So what I have done since January is I am making a list of the movies I have not gotten to screen that I'm going to watch anyway, not necessarily do a written review for them because that's what this segment is for. But for the stuff we don't get to review that I still would like to be able to talk about, we're going to do that. Now, from a television standpoint, I do not have anything this week. I was fully prepared last night. I was going to catch up on The Acolyte. Fired up the Xbox. Here we go. Disney Plus. How we doing? And the login just got screwed up because I had to scan this QR code and then put the code in on my phone. And then I went to log into Disney Plus and it wouldn't let me hit submit for my password. And it locked up. So I got out and tried it again. And they said, oh, this code isn't right. And I'm like, I ain't playing with you today. I ain't got time. I'm going to watch other stuff. Getting ready to watch Dynamite anyway. Well, do you have any television you would like to talk about from stuff we watched this week?
It does fly in the face of the 2024 aspect, but I actually do. And it's one of those, if you want to reach out to me on social media, it's Vexploit everywhere. Or if you want to check out any of our, stuff for the show, it's right up there. But for me, and not to poo-poo, I did refer to calling this segment The List because we always say it's on the list. We're going to get to it because it's on the list.
And I forgot to address that. I didn't want to do that because we used to have a thing called The List. Remember at the end of every show, we'd have a list, and then I was kind of like, we've already used that. So
fair enough.
And I
didn't remember it being called The List.
Yeah, I want to narrow it down to just stuff we've watched since we did our last show.
Mm-hmm. No, this is from yesterday, actually. So it's going back to my list of things, and I've hit a lull.
Okay.
Everything that I wanted to watch or get through, I have binged. So from this week, I have two things. One that I finished and one that I just started.
Okay.
Number one, I'm always going to recommend Archer. It is so smart while being so dumb. But it is, shout out to Tim Kalishaw. The main reason I give him credit was because I watched the first couple of episodes when it first came out, and I was like, this animation is weird. And Kalishaw, after winning on PTI, or not PTI, Around the Horn, took his entire time to basically banged the drum for Archer. And I was like, you know what? If Kalashaw thinks it's worth my time, I'll give it a shot. It is one of my favorite shows of all time. Ended fantastically. That just wrapped up last year. So its entirety is available between Netflix, Hulu, and various places. So you can watch the entire thing, including my favorite little crossover moment that opened season 4 so many years ago, because almost all of the voice cast works on Archer and Bob's Burgers. So mini spoiler for something that's over a decade old. Archer, played by John Benjamin, has amnesia, thinks he's Bob, and the season opens in Bob's Burgers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the one that I just started that's been on my list for a while, and it kept getting relegated back for other things or just a lack of timing because I wanted to pay attention to it. It's part of the reason I haven't gotten to The Acolyte either, because I don't throw stuff on in the background. I'm not good about that. I put the phone away and I lock in so that I only have to watch it once unless I want to. But last night, I threw on the first episode of Warrior, starring Andrew Koji. And it feels like a great kind of companion piece to what Game of Thrones was when it started. Okay. Definitely not for children. Big asterisk there. Definitely not for children. But it's got some modern touches only during fight scenes, which I thought was kind of a cool idea. And Andrew Koji is just awesome. Like, I have loved everything I've seen that dude in. And I don't want to jump into the other thing. Are we going to bring this back up during movies by chance?
Yes.
Okay, then I will hold one of those things for movies because today is the Andrew Koji episode for Alex. But ever since I saw him first in Bullet Train, even in a smaller role, I was like, I need to see more from this guy. There's something about him, and he is spectacular in Warrior. And I'll save the other Andrew Koji note for movies.
Okay.
So,
and
Archer and Warrior.
Alex did mention that he's opening up to the stuff that's not necessarily 2024. I have no issue with that because it's new to us.
Exactly.
You know, from a film standpoint, I'm trying to stick to 2024 because I am way behind in my list for the year.
I promise the movie note will be 2024.
No, you don't have to worry about that. I'm okay with it.
But I'm clarifying it'll fit that mold.
Because there's other stuff I need to watch, TV stuff too, because I got to watch Clipped. I still haven't watched Echo, so I need to watch that. I got to get caught up on that as well. So there will be some TV. Wrexham wrapped up this week because I did watch that this week. Loved that season finale.
A couple episodes.
Okay, so we won't talk about it because I don't want to ruin.
I figured I had to get that out first.
It was a solid season finale. So ready for season 4. Excited.
Absolutely.
Let's see here from Netflix. Do you know much about the work of one Chris Redd, former SNL cast member? Very funny. The creators of Pimp My Ride are working with him on a new show on Netflix.
The exhibit Pimp My Ride?
Yes, but it's not Pimp My Ride. It's a new series that's going to have 8 40-minute.
I'm just clarifying that it's that.
Yes. There's going to be 8 40-minute episodes that'll kick off July 24th. It's called Resurrected Rides. So what they're doing is they're taking project cars that people had and they're finishing them and making them street ready. So I'm kind of intrigued by this to see. And I like Chris Redd a lot. Chris Redd a lot. He's very, very funny. So he's one of those guys that if you saw him, you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't get as crazy as they did with Pimp My Ride, where it's like, oh, we heard you like sushi, so here's a 72-gallon fish tank in your back seat. And it's like, what the?
NBC Peacock only there's not a lot of headlines this week from a TV standpoint. Does the name Anthony Kerrigan mean anything to you?
I do know that name.
He was on Barry. He was NoHo Hank on Barry. He was also on,
isn't it? I thought it was Carnigan.
No, Kerrigan, Carrigan.
Okay, I must have mistook the second R for an N.
He also played Victor Zsasz on Gotham for 20 episodes.
And he has a role in the upcoming James Gunn Superman.
He will also be joining season 2 of Twisted Metal as Calypso.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to watch season 1 of that now because
I still maintain all you need is the thong song scene, and you're happy.
Well, we're going to talk about one of the stars of that show in a little while because
reasons.
Netflix. We talked a few weeks ago that season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy has Paramount Plus canceled it. Netflix picked it up. Season 2 of Prodigy will drop July 1st, the day before my birthday.
Nice.
So that happens the day before my birthday. Axel F happens the day after my birthday.
I figured we were saving that.
No, because it's Netflix.
That's also fair.
Paramount Plus has also announced that on the Paramount Network, which I'm sure Paramount Plus will have it immediately after, part 2 of season 5 of Yellowstone will start November 10th at 9 a.m.
I am so far behind. I am so far behind.
I watched an episode, and it was a season premiere a couple years ago, and I was just like, if I want to watch The Godfather, I'll watch The Godfather.
You're not wrong in that scope. Every episode has so much, and it's part of the reason why I'm so far behind is I like Yellowstone, but it's like an effort for every episode because it is a full-blown movie and there's no breaks.
Yeah. And an interesting move, this is a show my wife has started watching, Resident Alien with Tudyk.
Love Resident Alien.
Season 4, Leaving Sci-Fi. It's going to be on USA.
Oh, yeah. Well, Sci-Fi was going to cancel it based on, I believe it was cost of production.
One of my favorite YouTube channels, it's called Secret Galaxy. They just, last week's episode, he did the history of the Battlestar Galactica reboot.
Nice.
Which I absolutely loved.
Before we get off of this, Rob, I am telling you right now, you will absolutely love Resident Alien. I highly recommend it. Go for it.
It's just one of those, like, it's so much.
No. As much, you and I are both in that boat. Alan Tudyk can do no wrong.
Agreed.
But the way they do that show, every expectation just way above.
Couple of complete series available for you on TV and DVD and Blu-ray this week. The complete series of the OG Flash series from the late 80s on CBS.
Oh, did not know there was one.
And the complete series Omelette du fromage.
How are you going to say it?
Silly Didi. Still waiting as the bus draws ever closer. I love it.
Pronounce it.
It's Dexter's Laboratory.
Thank you.
Or Dexter's Lab. Either of those are acceptable.
I've heard people say Dexter's Laboratory, and I'm like, get out.
I love that show.
It's great.
I watched that with my goddaughter quite a bit because she loved that show. But the Omelette du fromage episode is one of my favorite things. Because just Dee Dee just losing her mind. That's all you can say. That's all you can say. Oh man. Love that show. Big news today.
Back up.
Oh, yeah. We lost a legend today. The great Donald Sutherland passed away at the age of 88 today. The original Hawkeye in the MASH film. Yeah. The guy, you want to talk about a guy who has done it all. Like, he can be the best protagonist on the planet, and then the next thing he does, you just want to punch him in the face because he's such a good bad guy. I mean, he was President Snow.
There it is.
You know?
Well, and the other part about it is, despite how good of an actor he was, good's not enough. How great of an actor he was, you go back to some of the interviews from the guys that were on Animal House and saying, you don't understand, Donald Sutherland might be the funniest guy here. And it's crazy when you think about that with the amount of talent that was in that movie. And Donald Sutherland could literally do anything.
He was, I mean, another great performance in 1971, Clute, which that is a movie that put the kids to bed because it's one of those kinds of films, but it's a great, I mean, I can't say there's anything but great performances from him. Oh,
yeah.
I guess,
I would say
Moonfall. We're not doing that chant.
What I was going to say was I challenge you to find a bad performance. Bad movies you can find. A bad performance you cannot.
200 acting credits on IMDb.
And that's probably just a cap.
Speaking of things of that nature, have you listened to the last HDTGM yet? Okay. All I'm going to tell you is the very last question before Second Opinions. Paul Scheer gets dunked on a level that you can't even comprehend until it happens. That's all I'm saying. Backdraft, underrated film in my opinion.
And he's so good as that insane person.
Yeah. It's, The Mechanic in 2011, as I'm just scrolling, Dirty Sexy Money, 23 episodes of that show, which very, very underrated show in my opinion. He was in Beer Fest. Das Boot.
Yeah, he was Grandpa.
He was in the miniseries in 2004 of when they did Salem's Lot, which apparently we're getting another one. I don't know. Cold Mountain, which was the Italian Job, the remake of that. He was in. I mean, Space Cowboys, another one of my favorite films. One of the very first screenings I ever went to. Let's see here as I keep scrolling.
I allow me to also put this into your ear. The very first thing I ever saw Donald Sutherland did was Backdraft.
Oh, really?
So when I saw and got older and saw him in more dramatic roles or more comedic roles, it was like, but I genuinely thought he was insane. There was no hesitation. I was like, why is the crazy guy here?
He Stockard Channing and Will Smith in the film version of 6 Degrees of Separation. One of Will Smith's early acting roles that if you think Bad Boys was his breakout, really this was.
Yeah. And it was one of those things I want to say that really got the Fresh Prince rolling as well.
Mm-hmm.
I will never forget just one line of that trailer where Will Smith answers the door and goes, "Yo, there's a white man at the door."
And then you also go to the line of, "You threw a knife at me and you caught it." Yeah. The OG Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just so varied when you just keep scrolling through his career.
You want me to give you one that's very niche, but has always stood out to me for him?
Go ahead.
Do you remember Lord of War?
Yes, with
a criminally underrated movie by Nicolas Cage. Right?
Yes.
So, spoiler alert for a 20-year-old movie. The super high up general that is just commanding in voice but no visual is Donald Sutherland.
He was in Kentucky Fried Movie, another one of my favorites. Animal House, the Great Train Robbery, the 70s version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
And he got gift. He definitely got gift for that scream.
Ellie's Heroes, a great war movie. Again, he was the original Hawkeye Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
The Dirty Dozen. He did one episode of this TV version of the Avengers. The British, not the...
Yes.
I mean, the guy is just he's a legend, and just that one when I heard today, I was like, oh. So our best go to his family. Kiefer,
somebody check in on Kiefer.
Kiefer put out an amazing tribute to him. So 24 primetime wins for Emmys, 33 nominations total. Actually, he's won one Emmy. Let's see. He has got an honorary Oscar in 2018. Let's see here. Critics' Choice Award winner for The Undoing was a TV movie.
I have a mildly morbid question for you.
Sure.
Is there anybody that can take the hammer away from him at the next Oscars? Because I don't think there is. I don't think there is, and I don't want to even hypothesize on what could happen in that scope, but that's how great Donald Sutherland was.
Won a Golden Globe in 2003 for a miniseries called Path to War.
Mm-hmm.
Won an NAACP Image Award in 1971 for Clute.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Trying to see if there's anything. A lot of nominations, man.
Yeah.
Won the 2014 villain a choice at the Teen Choice Awards for villain for Catching Fire.
Of course. He probably ran the table every year there was a Hunger Games.
Got his star on the Walk of Fame on January 26, 2011. I mean, and I'm telling you, I'm just scrolling.
I feel like at this point we should just tell people go to his IMDb.
Absolutely.
There is no way we could list everything for this.
Big fan. Big fan.
Will always be.
All right, let's get into the movie version of Stuff We Watched This Week. Still workshopping the song. I have watched 5 movies in the last week, but I will default to you.
So to put the bow right off the bat on the Andrew Koji compendium, I mentioned seeing him in Bullet Train as the broken father, we'll call it, but was amazing in a smaller role, surrounded by mega stars and holding his own in every moment. Then I mentioned Warrior, where he is spectacular fighter, lead, all around badass. And then there is a little 2024 movie that came out that is the best kinds of insane, as it dropped on Prime Video a couple weeks ago in Boy Kills World.
Oh, that's on Prime. I need to put that on my list.
I don't believe it's for free yet. I think it becomes free viewing in July.
Okay, I need to put it on the list anyway because
I legitimately paid for it. Like, we'll put it this way. If Sean has another trip soon, you're coming over, we'll watch it. I will watch it again because it is the best kinds of insane. And Andrew Koji plays a supporting role in this movie. Now, for those that don't know, I'm drawing a Bill Skarsgård is the titular boy who cannot speak. He is deaf and mute. And there is sections of this movie where Andrew Koji is essentially your counterpart to say what's going on or to inform the boy. But he is not all there, but not in a way that's terrible. A lot of it is just comedic. And he is awesome. Between him and Isaiah Mustafa with Bill Skarsgård, it is just electric.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that one. Don't let me forget to put that on my list after the show.
Hey, Rob.
Not now, because
I know
after the show.
I know.
What else you got?
Actually, just dropped the review today on www.theclubhousepodcast.com.
That's our website.
The Bike Riders, which, as much as you should read my review to understand my 2 gripes with the movie, is a really well done film. Very entertaining, very much is a microcosm of the country in the late 60s. But I just, let me put it in this context. It definitely has a spiritual inspiration from Goodfellas, and they execute that part of it wonderfully. That's something separate from the review. I couldn't find a way to explain that organically without going on for another 1,000 words. But if you are into it, I will say don't get fooled by the ads. It's not as action-packed as they make it seem, but there is definitely multiple beats of action. But it is incredibly well acted. It is incredibly engaging. And if you don't have a problem, hey, Mike, this one's just for you. If you don't have a problem with Minnesota accents like I do, you're going to like it even more.
I just lost my train of thought.
2024 movies. 5 movies in the last week.
What else you got?
That's it for me. I don't want to spoil everything. I may need to hold some back for next time.
I've got 3 Netflix movies to talk about this week, a Hulu movie, and an Apple TV Plus movie to talk about this week. Go ahead.
Actually, since we are kind of live workshopping this, are we only talking about things we recommend or things we've seen?
No, I'm talking about what we watched because it's got to be good, bad, or ugly.
Okay, then I have one more in there.
All right, please go ahead.
Rebel Moon Part 2 is garbage. I would call it hot garbage, but that is an insult to garbage. It is awful. It is boring. It is terrible, and it is a waste of time.
I have it on my list just because I watched the first one.
No, that's the only reason I watched the second one. And
So.
believe me, do something else while you're doing it, because that way at least you'll feel productive.
My Netflix adventures this week started with a documentary that dropped a few weeks ago that I didn't know was a documentary, but as soon as I heard it was a documentary, I said I will be watching this. It is called Movie Pass Movie Crash. This is the story of Movie Pass. It's very well done. Nothing should surprise you if you know anything about the story of Movie Pass, and there's a couple of moments where you're just like, and now you know why? Go ahead, Alex.
Just for clarification, would you explain Movie Pass?
Movie
Or
Pass,
what it was meant to be?
yeah. Movie Pass was kind of the predecessor to things like AMC A-List and Cinemark and what they're doing, where you paid them $10 a month once it launched. Early on when they were in beta, it was more expensive. But not $10 a month, you could see a movie every day. Any theater, any place, once a day.
I feel like that gives you a hint on how it went.
Basically, you got a debit card, and when you went to book the tickets, you did it through their app, and then they would put the funds on your card, and then you'd run the card at the theater. Yeah. I do recommend this. It's not high on my list, but it was entertaining. And it's one of those you watch it and you go, oh, this could have been something. But it has a nice ending to it. I will say that.
Well, technically, it became something in other ways.
Also on Netflix this week, I have now seen Unfrosted. This is the Jerry Seinfeld directed, loosely based, although there are factual things in it about the invention of the Pop-Tart. I could run this cast, but we'd be here for 3 hours. This is bat guano crazy in a good way. Like, it's not a good movie. I can't say this is a good movie because I also haven't seen Weird yet, and I feel like Weird is going to bury this movie. But it's one of those, the less you know, go into this movie as cold as you possibly can, just so you can start going, wait, what's happening? Wait, that person's in this? And that person? And this person?
So don't toast the Pop-Tart, just go unfrosted.
Exactly. And it's, again, not great, but I did laugh out loud multiple times. Most of it was me going, what am I watching right now? But I don't regret that hour and a half. Hour 40-ish.
At least it's only that.
If you need something to break the monotony and you just want to laugh just at the absurdity of this. Like, Gaffigan plays Mr. Kellogg.
Didn't even know he was in the movie.
That's all I'm saying. And that's this much of it.
Yeah.
And there's a bit at the end that you go, oh, which is kind of fun. The other thing I watched today on Netflix, it was Remembering Gene Wilder.
Oh, that's on my list big time.
It's very interesting. What I liked about it is Wilder narrates it, but the narration are excerpts from his audiobook.
Oh, that's cool.
That's how they did it. Interesting about how he got some of the things done that he got done. There's some great people in this. Harry Connick Jr. is interviewed in this. Apparently they were really close and I had no idea. Mel Brooks, of course. Rain Pryor, Richard's daughter, talks a lot about their relationship. So it's another one that it's probably going to wind up at the end of the year in the middle of the pack for me, but I did enjoy it. Check it out. On Apple TV Plus, I have watched half of this because it's a two-parter. It is called Steve, all caps, exclamation point, parenthesis, all lowercase Martin, a documentary in 2 parts. Part 1 is called Then, part 2 is called Now. I have watched the first part. It is all voiceover with interview archive clips. There's nothing current interviews. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's all voiceover from a lot of different people. What I didn't know, and this is just like a card at the end of the first one, it didn't hit me. The last time he did his full stand-up routine was in 1980. He has not done it since.
I'm somehow both shocked and not that shocked.
Another thing they don't talk about in the first part, they might in the second. I had to look up. I thought he was the first person to be in the SNL 5-Timers Club.
I thought he was too.
Second. Buck Henry was the first. I had to look that up. And I was like, oh yeah, because Buck Henry coasted a lot like early, like the first couple of seasons, because he was
when they weren't really getting
at the time from a writing standpoint.
Does it need to be asterisk? That's the question.
You know. And then on Hulu, dropping last weekend, I got to watch it this week. Brats, the documentary about the Brat Pack, done by Andrew McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give away too much. I thought McCarthy did a fantastic job with this. One of the things you will learn in this, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to let you finish. I just wanted to let you know I had a question.
Is the more time goes by, the more Emilio Estevez looks and sounds just like his dad. Like, I was just like, wow. And in a good way, in an absolutely good way, because I love Emilio Estevez. And
and let's be honest, we love Martin Sheen too.
Yes, Mr. President. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So I'm going to choose my words carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Is there coverage why there are certain members of said Brat Pack not in it?
Kind of, sort of.
Okay. So it's not completely ignored, but maybe not fully covered. And
there's definitely one of my favorite sections is when they go through and like, who's actually in it? One of my favorite lines comes from one of the people interviewed is Leah Thompson.
Oh dear.
And McCarthy asks her, "Are you in the Brat Pack?" She goes, "No, I am Brat Pack adjacent."
That's a great way to put it, though.
I said that out loud right before she said it. Friend of the show, Leah Thompson. Thank you very much. But there's some great interviews in this. He does. It's a lot about the New Yorker article and how everything happened, but it's really well done. I enjoyed it. Not probably going to make my top 10 of the year, but worth the time. My wife actually saw it before I did, and she liked it.
Oh, I really need to update my movie list. I think I have like 7 unaccounted for.
So that's all I've got this week for stuff we watched this week. Other movie headlines, because we're running a little bit behind. We're getting a remake of An Officer and a Gentleman.
Yeah, and did you see who's attached?
Where we belong. Miles Teller.
Yes.
So
I feel like he's just looking at every 80s to early 90s war adjacent movie and just going, I'll do that.
I just want to hear him go, I got nowhere else to go. That's the line I want. But you know what I always think of when I think of the Simpsons parody of that. Do you remember that?
I think they've done it more than once.
Well, when Homer's carrying Marge out and he goes,
yes,
I'm going to the car with my wife and you can tell the boss I won't be back for 10 minutes. We're getting Smile 2.
No! I saw that.
We're also getting Practical Magic 2. Both Nicole Kidman and why did I just lose her name? And I love her.
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock are in. So.
Okay.
Movie new releases. Go ahead.
Never even saw the first one.
I can neither confirm nor deny because it's been so long. Movie new releases and places you get movie new releases this week. The aforementioned Bike Riders also this week. I have a feeling that this is going to make HD TGM in the next month.
What, Bike Riders?
No, this next movie. The Exorcism with Russell Crowe. A troubled actor begins to exhibit a disruptive behavior while shooting a horror film. His estranged daughter wonders if he's slipping back into his past addictions or if there's something more sinister at play.
They have actually already addressed this. It will be done.
Sam Worthington is in this. Chloe Bailey is in this. Adam F. Goldberg is in this. Adrian Pastar. David Hyde Pierce. What is happening? Samantha Mathis? Okay.
They saw how much fun he had being Italian exorcist.
You're getting another one.
I maintain, I watched that movie, and when it ended, I was like, that was way more entertaining than it had any business being. And then they did it on HDGGM and said the exact same thing, and I'm like, they're 100% right.
We're going to run long tonight. Also this week, Thelma. When 93-year-old Thelma Post gets duped by a phone scammer pretending to be her grandson, she sets out on a treacherous quest across the city to reclaim what was taken from her. June Squibb, I'm always in. Love her. Parker Posey. Richard Roundtree, are you kidding me? Clark Gregg is in this?
Yep.
Trying to think if there's anybody else I recognize.
And before you think this is BO Swarm 2, it is not.
BO Swarm.
I swear we do more ads for them than they do.
I'm gonna have to look and see which one this is, because it's a movie that's called What Remains, but there's like 90 things called that. It was filmed a couple of years ago with the Stellan Skarsgård and the Gustav Skarsgård.
I'm sorry.
It says Stellan Skarsgård and Gustav.
Stellar Skateboard.
Sure. At a Scandinavian psychiatric hospital, an uneasy triumvirate of multiple murder mads, therapist Anna and policeman Soren all have a vested interest in unearthing the truth and a deepening codependencies to consume them all. Andrea Riseborough is in this.
What was the name of this again?
It's called What Remains. They're saying it's 2022, but it's releasing this week.
Okay. So, also to clarify, Gustav Skarsgård is his other son besides Alex and Bill, who most notably was Floki in the Viking series.
Okay.
Very talented, but does not look like his brothers.
Jeff McFetridge, Drawing a Life. This is a documentary. His iconic work is everywhere, but the film is more than just a primer on his career. It's about the choices we confront in trying to lead meaningful lives and how we use our most precious resource, time. Spike Jonze is interviewed in this. Sofia Coppola is interviewed in this. That's everybody I recognize. Movies on DVD and Blu-ray this week. Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. I still have mixed feelings on it. One that I do not have mixed feelings on is The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I loved this movie.
I have owned it since it was first available digitally.
The George Clooney directed The Boys in the Boat that came out on Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. That will be available. Another one of my favorite films from this year available this Tuesday, Monkey Man.
Which, interestingly enough, if I not trying to stomp on it or anything, Boys in the Boat is available for free on Prime Video. Monkey Man is the new release that is on Peacock. I should have included that. I did watch that this week. You were right. It is insane, but in good ways.
I love that movie.
It is really good.
Right now, it's number 2 on my list.
Really?
Yep.
That's not on my list yet.
And the Criterion Collection does the newest version of the Underground Railroad that was done a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And Blue Velvet, both getting the Criterion Collection treatments this week. You all right over there?
Oh, no. I was trying to remember. It's I couldn't remember her real name, so I feel a little bit bad. But that was the Underground Railroad with Michonne from Walking Dead, I believe.
Thuso Midibu? Is that
Maybe I'm wrong. I'm taking a look.
Cora, we have Chase Dillon is in this. I like him a lot. That kid's very talented. Joel Edgerton's in this. This was directed by, what is it, the director? Oh, by Barry Jenkins.
Oh, this is actually something different. I'm thinking of a different movie, I believe, that was called Harriet.
Yeah, I do remember that one as well.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, and I do apologize for missing that.
And now, this. Let us get into the other half of this show of the Cheap Popcast, your one-stop shop for all things professional wrestling. And I made sure to unmute the mic again, so I'm 2 for 2 tonight on this. Let's get into this. We're going to start with, I have beef. People that go to shows, especially live wrestling shows, I need you to do me a favor. It is not 1997. This is not ECW. Can we please stop with the chants that involve the profanity, because the constant muting hurts my ears? It's not original. It's stale at this point, and I don't care.
I have a rebuttal.
Please do.
We're talking about Scotland.
I'm talking about in general. Every show this week had it.
But most notably, Clash at the Castle did. And based on my typical verbiage, which you wouldn't know if you only know me from this show, tends to be sprinkled with expletives.
You do enjoy your colorful metaphors.
I find them very stress relieving. I have an entire thesis that I wrote about the benefits of swearing. Shout out to FAU. But the British Isles tend to not get caught up in what is profane, despite what you would think. They tend to let it fly as terms of endearment. But anywhere over here goes with that concept.
I understand that. And that was a plea. So pleas can be in their own category because you get that disclaimer at the beginning.
True.
When it's Raw, when it's NXT, when it's Dynamite, it's like, guys, this is broadcast television. Like, this doesn't make you a rebel. This doesn't make you cool. Stop it. Because they keep having to mute you, and then it hurts my ears because I'm trying to concentrate on what's going on, and I can't do that.
I genuinely thought this disclaimer was going to be more about murdering half your roster.
Well, we'll get to that.
Exactly.
So some notes from Impact, because Against All Odds was a thing. But on Impact, go ahead.
I apologize, sir. From TNA.
That's right. Still getting used to that. But from TNA Impact last Thursday, Kazarian. This is a direct quote from Frankie Kazarian, who we'll get to again here in a little while. You're going to hit the king? You better kill the king. That's not the line, bro.
But the other line may be trademarked.
I've heard it done.
That's fair.
Even Hunter agrees with me.
Of course he does.
Did you watch any of TNA last week?
I did not. I want to say I was doing something on Thursday.
Just when you think cinematic matches at the Hardy compound can't get weirder, I'm only going to give you one moment from this entire thing. Brian Myers winds up in their garage where the ring is.
You mean where the mower of lawns was?
Yes. And Senior Benjamin does make an appearance.
Good. I had questions.
In his house. Because he has his own house on the property.
Mm-hmm.
But
well,
in the
compound,
in this ring, Brian Myers gets speared by a skeleton wearing Edge's gear. With the Joe Henry song playing in the background.
Oh, God, that's perfect. I wish I'd seen it.
It's available to you.
Yeah.
I guarantee you can watch this on YouTube. I can't.
You know what? NXT is doing great work.
Tatum Paxley, speaking of which, is the one to challenge Jordan Grace for the Knockouts title, and your big return, which was all over the internet about 6 hours before the show. Jeff Hardy returns to TNA after Rebby and Matt get beat down by the system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was not.
And in true Jeff Hardy fashion, where they make fun of him, which still makes me giggle. There's the beatdown happening. He's coming out for the save. Hold on, got to dance a little bit to the music. Then I'm gonna go help.
I was a late night because I watched that and I wanted to make sure I watched SmackDown on Friday night because Clash at the Castle was Saturday and I had somewhere to be on Saturday morning and I didn't want to be too far on delay, which I got home with like 5 minutes left in the pre-show. So I wasn't like behind, which was kind of nice. Clash at the Castle was a thing. Not a great show, but better than Battleground.
Like the low bar. No, it wasn't that interesting. I will fully cop to the fact that I fell asleep after the Cody Rhodes match and then woke up at the next bell.
You texted me about that.
Yes.
10 minutes later, I had to make the conscious choice to turn off my Xbox, go into my room, and watch the rest of the plea in there, which I very rarely watch TV in that room, even though I have
a nice TV
and a nice sound bar.
That is true.
It's going to be my next thing to say. But I was so exhausted that I was falling asleep. And I ended up, and it's something else I don't very, very rarely do. I took a 2-hour nap after the plea.
Yeah.
That's how exhausted I was. And like the only match that made me go, "Ooh," was the changing of the women's tag titles.
See, I saw that one coming based on
Well, you and I talked about this.
I want to apologize in advance for what I'm about to say. Where Rey Mysterio happened, because we reward those that have to go through tragedy and still perform. But at the same time, Alba Fire, still Kaylee Ray to me, and Isla Dawn deserve every bit of it.
No, I agree. I also think part of it was somebody from Scotland had to win a match. It wasn't going to be Drew.
I see that. I kind of disagree with you, but like we talked about, CM Punk addressed why the booking I was expecting didn't happen. But
yeah, I don't think we needed the footage of. Oh, and by the way, our best to the ladies and what they've been dealing with. Let's just put that out.
Absolutely.
Because we're both fans of both of them. Have been.
It was very touching to see the family with them at ringside for that.
And
what a crap ending to the WWE title match, though.
Oh, and I thought we were going to wind up with some, and because Cody would have done it, I thought we were going to get a 6-man.
After
the ending of that, and then much less starting, you started with that match, so you gave yourself time. Because I didn't want to text you because I didn't know if you were in real time or not. But my first thought was, we're starting with this.
Well, that I felt like had to happen because you're ending with Drew at home, essentially. But gotta love Mama Rhodes for her selling during the match. But then it comes to the end of the match, and they're trying to sell the fact of AJ Styles quitting because, oh my God, the stairs. But then you have Cody look over and ask his mom, "Are you crying?" And they cut to her, and she's just laughing. And it's like, you've, number 2, killed the moment, and now you hit him with the stairs in arguably one of the weakest stair shots I've ever seen. Somebody called Braun Breaker. He actually did it better. But just on AJ Styles deserves better. There should have been something way more dramatic to tell the story of why he is going back to Japan, which I think we'll touch on a little bit more in a bit. But it was two of my favorites not doing what they can do.
Yeah, not a great show, but better than the plea that came before it.
The IC title match was good. I will say that.
Let's see here. Interesting news from Downstate today. Did you see this headline?
I did not.
They are working on another wrestler's theme. They are not saying who it is because that is their policy as a band, but they are working on another theme.
I think it was already spoiled. The wrestler themselves said it, and I am drawing a blank.
We can talk about it off air because we wouldn't hate to ruin that for somebody else.
I wasn't planning on saying it. I was just clarifying that I don't remember who it was, but I believe the talent already said that they were working with Downstate on it.
Okay. Going to Monday Night Raw, enter Seth Rollins, Good to see him back on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I did like the exchange between he and Damian Priest. I thought it was a really good exchange.
Priest.
And also finding out a couple weeks ago that Priest saying part of my development for the last 2 years, I've been working very closely with Paul Heyman, and it shows. We love that man. We have loved that man for years, and we love seeing him get the shine he deserves.
Big Lou will always have a place in our hearts.
Mm-hmm. Io Sky and Jey Uso both qualify for Money in the Bank. Drew quits.
I didn't like one of those.
But both of them make sense to be in this match. And can I just say, I love the marketing, the graphic package that they're using for Money in the Bank. I love this theme.
Yes.
I am a huge fan of this. I like because it's different, and you know how much I like that 60s James Bond thing. And I'm fully here for it. So I'm excited.
I literally looked at it and went, "Oh, spy versus spy."
Did you see the Triple H Jey Uso poster that he released?
No, I did not.
Yeet in the bank. It says it on the briefcase as Jay's holding.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
And then there was the ending.
You mean the murders?
Finally, we get there. This was not a ruse. This was not a, hey, here's the coordinates for the show in Saudi, and then nothing happens. It happened this week. It is the Wyatt 6. And instead of the ending S, there's a number 6.
Which is in the shape of an S, though.
Right. I liked the presentation of it.
Very well done.
The creep factor way up, which, I'm going to fight through this. It definitely makes, I don't know that it gets mentioned tomorrow night. I think they play it, but I don't think there's any Wyatt 6 stuff that happens. I think we save that for Raw to tell more of the story. Unless whatever your main event ends up being, they disrupt that tomorrow night.
Well, I think your main event segment won't actually be a match. I have a theory on that, but it actually goes hand in hand with what certain people have been saying about the wrestlers showcased to be assaulted or murdered or whatever, and Drew quitting and all of that. Is now you're adding that much talent to the... Now, granted, this is rumor and innuendo. We have no fact on this, just to clarify with big asterisk. The fact that you're introducing that much talent in the amount is why you have certain talent that was infirmed and or quit, because they're about to be either traded or they're just like, we're not dealing with this. We're going to SmackDown, which is why SmackDown will probably end with CM Punk saying that he's cleared, and then the attack by Drew that he's now on SmackDown, and possibly Punk is also on SmackDown. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that's the rumor at this time.
Okay. NXT, their first episode on CW, because it's not the CW, it's CW, announced for October 1st in their same time slot.
And they are releasing stuff that says we can't tell you what's coming, but it's going to be big. So we will see, because I believe that they know how to go big.
I believe that's a segue.
Yes, it is.
I wish Alex and I had been in the same room. This was the night he was at the game.
And people suck on the internet.
I tried.
No, you 100% tried, and I appreciate the non-spoiler rule that we have. However, people on the internet will always be people on the internet. So
I watched on delay, so I have to watch commercials. By the way, Ring of Honor tonight's almost 2 hours.
Ugh.
And I've watched 40 minutes of it.
Well, at least you got a headway into it.
I try to watch as much as I can before the show so I can get rid of a chunk of it.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden that music hit and I went, oh, we're doing this. We're doing it. Okay, we're doing this now. And I was like, Joe Hendry, kinda.
Well, did you see the setup after that? The video released by the company.
After NXT?
Yes, they released the video after NXT.
Of him talking to Shawn or something else?
Well, him getting in Shawn Michaels' face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes me think, ooh, NXT&A is going to happen.
And how dope did his video look on their entrance?
Everything. And you know what? As much as I've been bagging on that crowd for a while because people, them singing every word of I Believe in Joe Hendry made every hair on my body stand up, and I loved it. Because if you noticed, he had a microphone and was supposed to say more, and he just couldn't.
Well, and how did Kaz last longer in that match than he did?
I know the answer to that.
Okay.
One of his closest friends in the world happens to be the champion of SmackDown. He and Cody are wildly close to the point where they own a company together.
I actually had to think about that.
Yeah, no. Cody and Kaz have had a company together since before the first Jericho cruise.
Yeah, but how do you Santino Marella Joe Hendry?
Because you set up the fact that it took that many of them to beat him, thus preserving him, and you know that he's going to be the...
There's just something about that head turn smile to the camera that just it stops time.
It's the talent and the creativity before he ever steps in the ring. He's going to be that guy that can do it everywhere. Now, did you see the crazy... Now, we don't get caught up in ratings. We understand some people do. But did you see the note on how many views Joe Hendry on TNA got?
Yes. Yeah, because are you talking about Joe Hendry on NXT?
Correct.
Okay, you said TNA. I was looking.
I apologize. But when Joe Hendry got on NXT, I believe before we went on air, it was close to 4 million now.
And it was the second most watched video since WrestleMania.
No, the most watched since WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, I mean you got me on that. It's their second most of 20
year.
Yeah.
But the shot statistic on this, in 24 hours, Joe Hendry on NXT has more views than the debut of Okada, Will Ospreay, and Mercedes Moné combined. And it's on its way to doubling those figures in total.
It's because he's Joe Hendry.
And I believe he deserves it.
And I believe in him. This bit should not be over on the level it is because we've seen this before. But
at the same time,
about this man that puts this gimmick on a whole different level.
You know what this really does make me happy for, though? All of the people that are searching Joe Hendry and coming across those compilations, because if I don't get part 2 of Drew Dabadi before this run is over, I will be very upset.
And
those that don't know, after Drew McIntyre was released from the company and he was rebuilding himself, which they touched on leading into Clash at the Castle with him being at ICW, where he faced Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry's bit, for those that don't know, has been very well done, very entertaining songs about his opponent. And if you want to look up Drew Dabadi, it is exactly what you probably think it is, because Eiffel 65 approved.
AJ Francis. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, we could literally just list songs Joe Hendry has done for the next 30 minutes, but we don't want to do that. You should go down that YouTube rabbit hole. Enjoy. You're welcome. Shout us out on social media, anywhere. You can find all of them right here. And shout us out and thank us, because you're welcome.
And shout out to NXT for doing that on a non-major show. Just hey, it's Tuesday night. Here's Joe Hendry. What? I'm sorry, what? What just happened? What?
Well, and all of the reports coming out of TNA, because friends with Santino still, among other people, TNA is so ecstatic to have this.
I've read the same thing.
Do you have the note on Slammiversary?
No, I just read that they're so happy with the way this is going.
Okay. No, they're so happy with how this is going with NXT. in general. And then there's the effect. They are having to add roughly 300 more seats to the arena at Slammiversary because there's already that demand, and they may have to add more.
I need to see if there's going to be somewhere showing it because that's Greater Austin that weekend.
Ah.
And that was originally the Tyson Paul fight that same night. Yeah, I gotta see if I can watch it down there.
TNA is making money hand over fist. The company, because of who's in charge now, is doing right by them, and they realize the benefit of this. And don't be surprised when there is a takeover equivalent come November, and we get multiple War Games match because you have NXT versus TNA, then you have the women's, and then you have the men's on the main roster.
That's gonna be a fun weekend.
Oh, and it's Sean's birthday.
Oh,
it's so far away, and we have so much that's going to happen before we even get there.
A couple of quick AEW notes. The Buddy Matthews injury was in Angle. He's okay. That was scripted that way. I dig Statlander's new entrance.
Yes.
And you have not had a chance to check out Dynamite yet, but I really like her new entrance. And if you only watch one segment on Dynamite, sir,
okay,
it needs to be the segment with Joe and Hook.
I feel like I could have guessed that. You didn't have to say it.
And I will tell you why. If you've ever wondered what Joe is like not being Samoa Joe, you get a peek into it.
If I may, you mean Joe Sinoa versus Samoa Joe?
You get a small peek at who Joe really is at the very end of it, to the point that I giggled like a child at Hook does something and then he reacts to it after the fact. The way he reacts, I don't know that Joe knew what was going to happen, but he full on, like, I think they've told him because, and we've talked about on this show, Taz was the mentor for him in the Main Event Mafia, and now you got him mentoring Hook. I think that they've told Joe it's okay to let your guard down a little bit for this angle. And you've got Shibata working with them.
Oh my God, that
one of my favorite things in wrestling right now. This thing,
love this.
And he's got Siri talking for him. There was about a month ago, he did something in an interview with Renee Paquette that I thought Renee was just going to absolutely lose her mind, because this bit is brilliant and I'm here for it.
But, and if you really need any evidence that this is really who Samoa Joe is as far as quality as a person, allow me to say this. Two of your greatest of all time in John Cena and AJ Styles both say, excuse me?
Who was that first one?
I don't do your bit. I'm not that guy. Go for it.
John Cena! You know where I took that? Didn't you send me the clip that I took that from?
No, that was us at trivia and I died.
Right. So, but it comes from a YouTube video that somebody animated.
Of the prank call.
Prank calls. That's where I got it.
I did send that to you.
Okay. So it's not my bit.
Yeah. No. But to circle back to what I was saying, two of your arguably greatest of all time in John Cena and AJ Styles both say their career doesn't exist without Samoa Joe. John Cena got signed looking good on the West Coast because Samoa Joe made him look good during the match. They came up together.
Did not know that.
AJ Styles had his good guy run in early TNA against his monster heel of Samoa Joe, to the point of making each other look that good that I believe Samoa Joe is the godfather of all of AJ's kids.
And by all accounts, just a quality human being.
Absolutely. And never heard a bad thing said about him that was said in honesty.
You get a glimpse of it at the end of that segment. And I had a smile a mile wide, because it's just like, because I don't think Joe knew what Hook was going to do. and you have to text me after you watch it because it's the way it's shot. Shibata's actually behind the camera. So yeah, it's a brilliant piece of business. That's all I've got, unless there's something else you need to talk about.
There is one thing I do want to bring up, but
Yeah.
I was hoping to be able to find it first. Have you heard about the documentary that is going to be made by, and I can't believe I'm drawing a blank, the brothers who are twins and comedians that are not the Sklar brothers, the younger ones?
I can neither confirm nor deny with that level of information.
Shoot. If you can buy me 15 seconds, I'll find it.
Okay.
Okay, the Lucas brothers.
Okay.
So the Lucas brothers, who are African-American twins, they have a very funny comedy bit, but they are also writers, directors, producers. They're doing everything in the industry. They are partnering with Swerve Strickland and Flash Garments,
Yes.
a rapper, to make a documentary about the melding of how Swerve Strickland has taken this true to his roots persona, blended it with all of the stuff he does. Because if you've heard his entrance, it's legit. And the dude does rap and does it well on top of everything. And I really kind of hope that we get a screener or something whenever this does come available, because one of us has to take LA.
Yes.
But I am very much looking forward to this. But it's the Lucas brothers and Mookie Thompson that are teaming up to direct this documentary about Swerve Strickland and Flash Garments and the crossing over of music to wrestling and how it works together to make this magic. And I am very much looking forward to this.
Give me 1 second. I need to get to somewhere.
Oh,
there we go.
So,
because there's something we do need to announce before we do the plugs. If you are local to the DFW area, coming up on Saturday night in Carrollton, and you and I have to see if we're going to be able to get this done, because I have every intention of going.
Now, to clarify, you're talking about the 22nd?
That is correct.
June 22nd.
This coming Saturday night, 2 nights from tonight, it is Setting the Game on Fire. If you look in the upper right corner, you will see our friend Mr. Wobble. He is on this card. You see Josh Alexander in there. Some of the guys from Reality of Wrestling are in here as well. This will be in Carrollton, Texas. There's Maven there in the middle. This coming Saturday night. We would love to have as many of you go out there as possible to support our buddy Wobble. Mr. I'm in the credits of Bad Boys Ride or Die.
And other friend of the show at the upper left, Barrett Brown, 50 cal, is checking in from the Stray Dog Army.
There you go. So that'll be this coming Saturday night in Carrollton, Texas. I said I'm going to do everything I can to be there. I think general admissions 25 general admissions 20, ringside is 25 if I'm not mistaken.
Was there a QR code on that?
Not on that one.
Okay. I was going to say giving people opportunity to get to the tickets.
So yeah,
where might they be able to buy tickets if not at the door? Is there an advance on there?
Let me Setting the Game.
Now I know full well that I don't get to make decisions in my life anymore. I have to run it by the boss, but I think I might be able to get her to go too.
This is a SOAR event.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, where he is currently the SOAR light heavyweight champion
with the wobble belt.
Yep. Which he actually wore last weekend at Fan Expo.
Nice.
They got to get their website up and running. It's killing me. It is this Saturday at 7:30 is your bell time. I'm trying to find. Let's see. Mr. Wobble would be taking on Javante the X Factor Williams for the SOAR Junior Heavyweight Championship. Looks like it's going to be at Pro Touch Soccer, 10717 Northwest Highway. It's actually in Dallas, but it's right there on the Carrollton border. I don't see somewhere where you'll be able to or they have anything up for ticket pre-sales. But go check out SOAR Championship Wrestling on Facebook, where you can get all the details on that. Anything else?
I got in about the documentary. I was trying to find it on my end as well for Sword Championship Wrestling.
Corner, that's our QR code where you can find all of our social medias, all of the things. And if you see us in person, we might have a little thing you can scan your phone, because Alex knows stuff. I need to get more details on that because I've had people asking about it.
Well, if you want the links you got there, you've also got the link down there.
Yep. You can follow me on all your social medias if you would like. Everything is Yes That Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I am Vexploit on all social media, which you can see right there. And if you do want to help out the show, look for the scrolling at the bottom. It is prowrestlingtees.com/thecheappopcast. A lot of different shirt options, a lot of different color options within those shirt options. If you happen to be an artist and want to either contribute or have suggestions, you can reach out to me at alex@theclubhousepodcast.com.
And remember, for those of you on the audio version, we are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music, so you can't see the QR code. Everything but Twitch and Twitter is The Clubhouse Podcast. Those two are Clubhouse Show. You can follow the official fact checker of this show, who should be back next week for our season finale. Don Ford is Igbunu on Twitter, IGBUNUUU. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I am Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. Might have a remote show coming up next month, so stick around for that. Charla Marshall is on Pinterest, because we are morally obligated to say that. And she is going to we're going to keep the streak alive, because she's going to come with me a week from Monday for the screening of Despicable Me 4. Very excited. Our normal show every Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, is your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, and pro wrestling, as we do. So until next time, for Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. Brittany Palmer, I like that her like fan site is just IYKYK. If you know, you know.